Real Madrid's dark secret is about to get exposed. Mega money deals, secret meetings, and a plan to dominate the game. These dudes are about to ruin football, and all thanks to their secret midfield plan. But to understand what's going on, I gotta start from the beginning. Back when Florentino Perez took over the club in 2003, he made it an immediate policy to sign the best players in the world. And with a crazy new paycheck, Madrid began spending big. They bought ballers like Luis Figo from Barcelona, David Beckham from Manchester United, and Zinedine Zidane from Juventus, making them become the original Galacticos. Madrid peaked and won the Champions League in 2002, but it all went downhill after that. See, the Madrid midfield was no longer what it used to be. Luis Figo signed for Inter Milan in 2005, Zidane retired in 2006, and Beckham went to join LA Galaxy just 1 year after 2007. And even though Madrid had the incredibly talented Guti in midfield, he couldn't do it all on his own. So in 2009, Perez decided it was time to go big again. And in that window, alongside ballers like Ronaldo and Benzema, he bought Kaká from AC Milan, Xavi Alonso from Liverpool to strengthen midfield again. But unlike Zidane, Figo and Beckham, it just wasn't working, man. Because even though they managed to put in some good performances in the league, they kept getting knocked out of the Champions League. But all of that was about to change in 2012 after Jose Mourinho made a huge mistake that changed everything. In the summer of 2012, Kaká's injury problems were getting worse, and they again needed new replacements in midfield. So Mourinho went and bought in Michael Essien on loan from Chelsea and Luka Modric from Tottenham Hotspurs. But it was the same old thing. It didn't work out because Essien returned to Chelsea at the end of the season, and Modric was so bad, the fans voted him the worst signing of the season. But in 2014, together with Sami Khedira and Xavi Alonso, Modric picked up his form and helped finally win the Champions League for the first time in 12 years. Now you see guys, Modric was only phase 1 of the plan, and the next one was going to be way more difficult. After winning the World Cup with Germany and putting in some amazing performances along the way, Toni Kroos was one of the most talked about midfielders in 2014. But his club Bayern Munich didn't think he was all that, and so when Kroos asked for a salary increase, they straight up said no. Immediately Perez and Madrid got to know about the situation, they dropped the deal and signed Kroos for a fee of 25 million euros. In his first season, Kroos and Modric did okay, but Madrid came out second best as Barcelona won the treble. And with phase 2 complete, Perez knew he needed just one more addition. And that's when he recalled his beast from South America, Casemiro. See, Casemiro signed for Madrid a year earlier, but he was sent on loan to Porto to get some game time. And with Khedira leaving to join Juventus and Xavi Alonso going to Bayern Munich, Casemiro came into the team, and together with Kroos and Modric, they formed what Carlo Ancelotti liked to call the Bermuda Triangle. Those three are excellent on the ball. You can't get it off them. It's as if they already know where each other is without even looking up. The trio won everything at club level. 3 Champions League titles back to back, the La Liga, Copa del Rey, Club World Cup, Super Cup, and Spanish Super Cup. For years, they dominated the midfield at the club. And despite Madrid signing ballers like Odegaard, Isco, James Rodriguez and Dani Ceballos, they still couldn't get these 3 off the team. But in 2022, after winning yet another Champions League title, Casemiro decided it was time for him to take on a new challenge at Manchester United. And with his departure just around the corner, Perez decided it was time to activate the cheat code and bring in the secret plan he'd been hiding for years to life. The season before Casemiro left, Perez realized his superstar midfield had one problem. They were getting old. Modric was already 36, Kroos was 31, and Casemiro was now 31 too. Perez had been thinking all along of not just getting superstars this time, but young prodigies. Talent he knew would dominate the game for years, and so Madrid splashed the cash and copped 19-year-old talent Eduardo Camavinga from Stade Rennes for 30 million euros. Camavinga played an important role in the team. As with his signing, he got to act as the understudy to all 3 legendary midfielders. But now with Casemiro gone, Another young talent popped up on Perez's radar, only this time, he had stiff competition. Aurélien Tchouameni was catching the eye for AS Monaco. His performances week in and week out were becoming so good, he had clubs like Liverpool and Manchester United trying to get his signature. Madrid knew if they wanted to get to Tchouameni, they'd have to act fast, and so while the other clubs were stalling, Perez quickly jumped into the negotiation table, took a seat, and made an offer he knew they wouldn't be able to resist. "We will pay you 80 million euros for Tchouameni." And just like that, it was done. Perez brought in Tchouameni to become the new DM at the club, and it was like Casemiro never left. But that wasn't all, because Perez personally scouted the move for both players, and he was seeing stuff that people couldn't. Camavinga was a defensive midfielder capable of playing as a left-back or even at centre midfield, and Tchouameni could act as an attacking, central or defensive midfielder, so Perez almost had everywhere covered. This season, even though Madrid went on to win 3 trophies, they were getting caught out in the big games, because despite Kroos and Modric being masters of the game, they didn't have the legs anymore. And after getting thumped 5-1 on aggregate by Man City in the Champions League semi-finals, Perez knew that Tchouameni and Camavinga alone wasn't going to be enough, and his next plan? Sign the midfielder everyone couldn't stop talking about. Ever since he became a revelation at Borussia Dortmund, Jude Bellingham kept getting better every week. Even though he was just 19, he was playing like he was in his prime, age 30. Bellingham's maturity and football skills made him stand out, and according to the guys at CIES, he was now the most valuable midfielder in the world. For months, it seemed like Liverpool was going to win the race to sign Jude, especially after they got both Jordan Henderson and Trent Alexander-Arnold to try and convince him to join them in the national team. But what people didn't know was that Madrid already had a secret plan in motion. In the 2022 Champions League final, Bellingham and his family were in attendance, and Perez strategically made Jude sit next to his idol growing up, Zinedine Zidane. Madrid won the game 1-0, and behind the scenes, Perez knew he didn't even have to do much to convince Jude anymore. The kid was already hooked. So a couple of weeks back, when Manchester City entered the race to sign Jude, Perez didn't even flinch, because he knew the work had been done. Announce the deal now. That was it. Jude Bellingham signed for Real Madrid from Dortmund for a fee of 103 million euros, to make him the 3rd most expensive teenager of all time. The kid's living out real-life career mode on FIFA. Perez also recalled Brahim Diaz from his 2-year loan at AC Milan, and now the Madrid midfield had a whole new dimension to it. This summer, Kroos and Modric signed 1-year extensions to stay at the club, but now they're going to act as leaders for the next generation Perez has created. That's almost ready to take over the game. Eduardo Camavinga at 20, Jude Bellingham at 19, and Aurélien Tchouameni at 22. That midfield is stacked. Imagine trying to compete against that. Perez had been secretly creating a Madrid team that he knew would challenge at the top for many years, with young ballers like Vinicius Jr. only still 22, Rodrigo still 20, and now his mega money midfield. This Madrid cheat code had already been activated, and in a few years, they could take over the game, and who knows, even become one of the greatest teams of all time. But one thing is for certain, every new member of that Madrid team has to pass through an initiation process before they can join the club, subscribing to the channel and watching all the videos, just like you're about to.